Okay, we are here learning about Python today. So no more R today, or no R today, just Python. And so we have 1 minute to go. Thank you for coming, for joining us. We will start in a few minutes, maybe 2-3 minutes. Thank you. If you are watching us from Facebook, please share our video. We appreciate you for taking time to come and see what we are going to demonstrate or share with you all. Okay, we'll start in 1 minute. See, okay. So thank you for taking time to come and see what we are doing. And we have been talking about R for data analysis. And today we just want to show you, to demonstrate how to use or to perform data cleaning and transformation using Python, library called Pandas. And instead of doing that on our computer, there are times when one may have limited resources. Maybe your computer is about to be full, so there's not enough storage space to do this analysis on your computer. In that case, Google Colab offers or provides an alternative for you to do your data analysis online without having to worry about installing Python and other related tools on the computer. However, you will have to install packages that you want to use in the Google Colab. So you need to have like a Google account to log into Google Colab, which is part of the Google Drive. And what I will do is I'll share my screen and then I will walk you through the process. It's probably going to be an hour-long video, depending on the number of steps that I will be sharing with you all. So let me share my screen. Okay. And then I'll zoom in a little bit. Okay, so here we are here, and oh, that's not what I want. Maybe okay. So we are here, and we will click here. We will choose Drive, and so I'm already logged into my Google account. So that's why I just went straight to Google Drive, and as you can see, I have some folders here. But if this was your first time, then you would probably create like a new folder, and let's say Python demo. And maybe this is that's tiny. I think this is better. So we have just created a folder called Python demo. We can go inside that folder, but it has nothing in it. So we will go here. So it's go into plus and then new. So we want to add new. But this time what we want to add is the Google Colab. So it's going to give us the Python or Jupyter notebook. If you are doing this for the first time, you won't be able to see Google Colab. This is Google Collaboratory, but in short, it's just Google Colab. So doing it for the first time, you won't be able to see. So you will just say plus, and then you will scroll down and say more connections, and then you can type and search here and say Google, or just simply say Colab, and you would click on it. But I already have it. But if when you are doing it, so you see it's installed because I already have it installed. But for you, you'll click on it to install it, and then when it's installed, you'll come back here, say new, go to more, go to Google Colab, and it is gonna open a Jupyter notebook. So Jupyter notebook as an extension that is IPyNB, which is IPython notebook. And so you can click on the name. Maybe let me zoom in a little bit more. I think that's better. Now you can click here to rename your Jupyter notebook, because it is good to give your Jupyter notebook a more descriptive name. So this is just a Python demo. We could have called it demo. So it's advisable to use, people have preferences, but mostly generally it's advisable to use the snake case, whereby you connect words with underscores and everything is in lower cases. So we are just going to demonstrate something using Python or Pandas, or actually let me say Pandas demo. And now I just I need to click outside to make sure that the changes have been implemented. Let's see, connection resources. And then, so if you are exposed, or if you have some knowledge about data science and everything like that, so this year Jupyter Notebook, just like RStudio, will provide you with access to markdown document, whereby you can just write as if you were writing in Word document, but we use the markdown syntax. So first we will give it a title. So I will click the text, and it's down below this one. So I can move it up here. This arrow can move it up, or I can move it down depending on what I want, but I want to keep it up there. So it's up here, and then you see it's just like Word document where I have the cases, title, whether it's going to be lowercase, bolding, italicization, quote, and so on. And so in Markdown, if you want to do heading 1, you just do £1. So we will say leaning and transforming data. With pandas, actually should be lowercase pandas. Let me see if I can. And then, so I'm telling Jupyter Notebook that this is like a code. So I'm putting backticks around that pandas. I can play the button here. There's a play button. Let me see. Maybe I have zoomed out too much. Yeah, there's a play button here, but it's not shown here because this is a text. So what I can do, I can click outside this space here, or I can just do Shift Return key on my keyboard. And there we have the title. And then we can add another text cell. And let's say maybe I will do heading 2, and we will say loading libraries. This is where we will install libraries, and then command I did shift return key. Now what libraries do we want? We want to import pandas library as pd. We want to import from janitor package. We want to import clean names or clean underscore names for working with the column names. You will see that because Colab is disconnected every time when you are done or when you are offline, so you will lose everything and you will come back and restart again, especially your data set. You will lose your data set that you saved there. So make sure your data is saved elsewhere, and then you can import it into Colab. Now let's say running this and see if it's gonna run them or if we will get an error saying that they are not there. So here, note your import is failing due to missing packages. So this is, and it says there is no module named Jupyter. Pandas is already installed, but Jupyter Notebook, Janitor is not installed. So what I will do to install a package within Jupyter Notebook, you will do, or a terminal, you will do the exclamation point and then pip installed, the name of the package that you want to install. This in this case is Janitor. Then shift return key. It's just gonna install that and then it will load the packages. Now that is done. When that is done, you can come and comment this out because you don't want to install it every time you run this cell. So now I can play the button to run it, or I could have just do shift return key and that will be loaded. Now I've been getting this warning here, but I will have to research how to fix it or turn it off. That's not the main topic of this lecture. So now the next thing, since we have now installed our packages, is to load the data. And to load the data, I'm gonna add a text cell, and I will say heading 2, importing the data or data set. And now to import, we can do that manually by coming here, going to this up here, and we get it from our desktop, but that's not what I'm gonna do. What I will do, I'll use codes I'll write a code to upload the data. So I'll say from Google.colab import files, and then I'll go to the next line and I'll say uploaded data is equal files dot upload function or method from files, and then I will click this one or return chip key. Now it's giving me option to choose where to upload from. I can cancel if I change my mind, but now I will click on this here, and I'm not gonna go there. Let me open my, let me come here and open Google Drive. And then I'll go to, it's coming down to my computer. Okay. So it's coming down to my computer. Let me make this one bigger. So I'll just go to where the data is here, and I'll choose this data set here. Open it. And now let's see. The data has been saved. So where has it been saved at? It's just here. I can come here and copy the path. And then, so let me shift return to add the next cell. And then I'm not going to worry about that. I'll cancel it because we have already imported the data. And here we will name it our data frame as census row is equal pandas dot read underscore CSV. And then you use the quotation, the quotations. We prefer to use single quote, but you can use double quote as well. Now that's our data. And then we can do return, shift return key or play that button. Now data has been loaded. And the first thing we need to do to inspect the first few rows. And the way we do it, we call the hit method on the data frame. So by default, it's going to show us 5 rows. And so we see these are the first column here, which is region, these are just labels. The second one, which is region name, these are states, the 10 states. And then region Dutch, region ID, these are just like initials. I don't know why they say South Sudan and then NU instead of UN, and so on. So this is a huge data. It has like 453 observations and or rows, and then a number of columns. I will have to check shortly. But now let's look at the last few rows as well. Let's say 10 rows. And we call for the last rows, we call the tail on the data frame. But now, since we are looking for the last 10 rows, we're going to give it 10. By default, it's only 5. And then we see here, so it is going up to 452. Remember, Python start counting from 0. So this would be 453. We were doing this in Excel or in R. But because it's starting with 0, that's why it is like this. So the last 3 rows are not important. These are NAs, and these are the links where I found the data set. So we will have to remove those later on. Now let's check the shape or the dimensions of our data. So we can do census underscore raw and then do shape on it. And shape is just an attribute. It's not a method. Attributes are called without adding parentheses. Methods, you add parentheses at the end. So there are 453 observations or rows and 10 columns. Not all of these columns are important to us. We will extract only the columns that are important to us. And that will be the next thing we will do. So for next, we can add a text cell and say maybe selecting desired columns or columns of interest. To do that, first we need to see which columns are there by calling the column methods or just column attribute the data frame. And again, attributes, you don't add parentheses. And these are all the columns we want. So I'm going to copy this. So Pandas will give you these in a list using square brackets. So I will copy this and I will delete what I don't want. So I'll come here and I will create calls. I'll say calls just for short for columns. And these are the columns that we want. And I'll delete that. I will delete this too here. And I'll bring it up. I will delete this here. And I'll delete this too. And then, yeah, now we are good. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the only columns we are interested in. And then now we are going to begin or subset our data. We will rename it as census, just census. And here I will use the method chaining. Method chaining, there are 2. So method chaining where you use the parentheses is what I'll use. There's another one whereby you use the backslash to break the line to go to the next line. But I like using the parentheses one. So we call our data frame. Then we want to select the column. So we put in the columns that we wanted. And so I will print out the data here at the bottom so that we see when we run it, we will see what is going on, the transformation that we are making. Then I will click the play button first, and then we look at the data, and this is the new data. You see there are only 4 columns, but there's this index row. And so what I will do here is I almost did like a pipe. I thought I was doing this in R. So this is where the janitor package is going to help us to clean the name. So we want to convert all the column names to lower cases and then connect the number of words in each column by using underscores. So just do the dot. So method chaining, you just do the dot and the method that you want to apply. So here I'm applying the dot clean underscore names method from janitor, and then I will click run. When I run that, you will see now the column names have been transformed. And the next thing to do, we saw that Or actually, let me do this one. Before we could go there, let's check for missing values. Although we saw that, I want to show you how to check for missing values or NAs. So you take your data frame and you call is NA on it, the method, and then see. And so that's not going to help out, but here you see at the bottom is saying true, true. So this is a Boolean. That is, if their row has a missing value, then it's going to say true. If it doesn't, then it will say false. Now, when you do that, we need to aggregate and see the number of rows with missing values. And there are three number of rows with missing values. We could have used is null, but I prefer using is NA. And then if we want to pull them out, and then if we want to pull them out, let me comment that out. So let's say census raw, and then census that is NA. Let me try if this is gonna do it. Yep. So that's not doing it, but what I will do, let me take a column, and the column I will choose is the population column, because I know it has missing values. Let's see. Okay, so what I have done is I'm doing the filtration inside. So I took the data frame, and inside that I took the data frame and then pull out one column that I know has three rows with missing values. And then I append the is NA method on that. And that is inside. And then now I use that to filter out the three rows with NAs. So that's how you do it. And now we'll come here, we will drop the NAs. Because we know these three last rows are not important, we will use drop NA. Otherwise, we could just say a filter NA and so on. But I will just call the drop NA method. And that I could have specified how to do it, whether column-wise or row-wise, but that is going to do it. And now we see that we are down to rows 450. That is going from 0 through 449, because Pandas again, or Python, starts counting from 0. So we have removed, but we are now chaining methods. We remove NAs. So what is next for us? We see these, and we will do transformation. You see population is being imported as float. So let me go back up and show you how to check for data type. Data types. Census raw .info as a method. And so all these are coming out, all the columns are coming out as objects, which is another thing for character. And then the population is showing as float. We will change that to integer, because people cannot be decimals. It's always, these are discrete. So population is a discrete variable. So we will come here, and I think the next thing we need to do is to clean. See this variable name, or we will rename the columns first. I will call this region underscore name. I'll call that state. So to name columns, you will call the rename method. And then I'll say column equal, and then you put in a Pandas Python dictionary. You put in the all name first, and then separate that with column, and then put in the new name. So the new name is going to be state. Next one was variable name underscore name. This here we will call it, let me take it to the next line. We will call this, we will name it as gender, because that row as the total rows and the rows for gender and for male and female, but those are the ones that we will keep. And then the next one is age underscore name, which is, or which are age categories. We will rename this as age underscore categories or category. I'll just say age underscore cat. Population, we'll call it population. I'll just say total. So we have renamed columns. I'm doing this, I'm breaking it into like next line so that you can see. But now let's run it and see if there is a problem. So there's a problem, and it says got keyword call. So I misspelled columns, I left out n. And so this is a good example of how to debug or identify what the issue is with your data when you run into such a problem. This was much easier for me to spot, but sometimes it may take you a couple of minutes or even 1 hour, or sometimes you may take a break and come back and check again. So we have just added that, and now let's run it again and see if it's going to run properly. So that has gone through as expected: state, gender, age category, and population. And then maybe the next thing we need to do, so usually it's good to take this one to the next line so that you mark them there. And then the next method we will chain onto this one. Maybe let's say assign. Let's say assign. So assign is like mutating R, and assign allows us to manipulate or add new columns. So the first column that we are going to manipulate, let's say maybe population. And this is why in assign, you don't quote the columns that you are adding or manipulating. Like here, that's why you want to use underscores to have just one phrase. Here I will use the anonymous function, the lambda function. And we will call the population column that we want to manipulate. What we are trying to do on this one is we will want to convert. So when you want to convert from data types from one data type to the next or to the other, then you use as type, and then you put in what you want to convert it to. We want to convert this to integers, from float to integers. Let's see if it has gone through. Now it has gone through. So we have dropped the decimal points, which is making sense because we are dealing with a discrete data set. And then inside here, you add a comma to add another column. They are not the next column we are going to manipulate is the gender column. And the reason we are going to manipulate this is because you see here it has population, comma, total, and then in parentheses a number. We just need the middle part where it says total because it's total and then male and female. Uh, we could have done this in several steps, 3 steps, but what I will do is split it by spaces so that comma population is treated as one part, the first part, and the total is treated at the middle part, and the end in parentheses is treated at the last part. I will use again the lambda function, the column we want. So another way you could have done this is instead of using the calling the column in the quotation within the as a list or in a bracket, square bracket, then you can do dot method on that, but I like using the bracket, the square bracket. Then we'll say this is going to be a string. It's a string, and then we are going to call the split method on it. How do we want to split? I've already mentioned we are splitting by spaces, so put a space inside. But there are 3 parts. Since Python starts counting from 0, there will be the first part, which is 0, 1, and 2. But we need only the middle part, which is 1. So to get that, we will say dot string, and then we pull out 1. That is telling us, okay, split these using spaces, but only keep the middle portion or the middle piece. This will be like 3 columns, but we are going to keep what is in the middle. Now let's run it and see if it's going to go through. Yeah, it has worked. So now we see the totals, but we don't need the totals. We can calculate those. So we want to keep only rows with either male or female. So that means in gender, we will delete all the rows with total, and under the age category, we will delete those totals rows as well, or rows with total as well. To do that, we will use the query method. You do the quotations, and the gender, the column that you want to manipulate or filter. We want rows with no totals in them. So to negate that, you do the exclamation point, equal sign, and then now you use double quotation because outer quotations are single quotes. So inside we will use double quotation. What we don't want this one to be equal total. Make sure you type it correctly. If we run this, and we come here, we see male and female and so on, and we have dropped all the columns with totals in them, but not here. So we will go back and add another one. So here we will use the ampersand sign, which is and we will say h underscore category. We don't want this one to contain totals. Double quotations, sorry. And then now I can just do the chip return key, and that has been taken care of. So now our data is getting in shape to where we want it to be. And so I don't know. Okay. Let me see. Okay, so the next thing to do now, we are done with that. The next thing to do is to summarize our data. Or, yeah, so the other thing we will need to do here is, since let's look at the age category. There are too many of them. So age, no, census. Dot age underscore category. We want to see how many unique values are in each of this. And the unique values are going from 0 all the way to 65. So there are a lot of these. We want to cut them down to just a few. And to do that, we can use a mapped method, or we can just replace this. So let me come up here. I'll come up here. So if we want to map, then we will have to use a dictionary. And in each dictionary, so we want to put what we want to replace that. So let's say 0 through 14. Zero to 14. And then the next one will be 15 to 29. 15 through 29. Here you have to be careful because you can easily make a mistake. 15 through 29. And the next one is going to be 0 through, I'll do 30 through 49. To 49. This might not be the best way, like some of them might be longer than others, but what I'm doing is just to show you how to change this, or how to label. The next one we will do 50 to 64 because it doesn't go all the way to 69. The last one, we will just leave it as it is. Okay. And we will come back. So I should have, okay, yeah. Because if I go back up there, Yeah, I think I can still come back up here in the assign and say age category. Lambda age, and then map and put age. See if this is going to work. We may get an error or it may work. Yeah, it has worked. So this is one way to do it, just using mapped, or you can do replace. So, but map has worked. You have seen what I did was create a dictionary of old and new age categories, and then use the map method or function to implement the changes. To do the replace method, you have to put in the all values first on one side. Since this is there are too many of these, so it's then the old and then the new. So you would have a list of all values and then new values, and then put them side by side inside the replace function to do the same thing that we have done with the map. But I will leave it here because I don't want to waste time. We're almost going to 1 hour. So our data is getting where we want to go. And the problem with this is now I'm seeing NAs. So it's because here this is no longer applicable. So what I will do, I will just remove it from that assigned, and then I'll add another assigned line here. And I will put it in here. Because this map is not going to include the total rows because they will have already been filtered out. And now this is what we are seeing here. So let's come back down here and say, okay, each category, what are the unique values in each? So it's going from 0 to 14, 15 to 29, 30 to 49, 50 to 64. And then, so there are now only 5 categories, which is reasonable enough. And so the next thing we will do is we will aggregate our data. That is, we will sum it. Since we have cleaned it up, now we can sum it. And to sum it, we can just say group by, call the group by method. And then put in a list, we will group by state, and group by gender, and age category. And what we want here, we want to sum the population column. And so we can call the sum method on this, but with the release of the Pandas 2, then you have to say here numeric only. Set that to true. Let me see if this is going to work. Okay, so that has worked. Now you see each state has only 5 rows, no, 10 rows, because 5 for female, 5 for male, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. And Okay. So that is all I wanted to show you. Now what we will do, we will take all this code here and convert it into a function so that next time when we are cleaning, when we are working on this data set, we just pull it in one time, run it through the function, and that's it. And we will also uh, automate it such that we can use it to calculate only the state totals or state by gender or by gender and age category. So let me copy this. I'll copy that. Then I'll come down here, write a function. And to write a function, we will define a function. We'll say tweet census. And we will provide it with some inputs. So we can give it a string, but I will leave that out. I want to show you. I would probably use ChatGPT to write that for me. So I'll just drop this here. So I'll drop this here. Let's see, try this. Okay. So this is another good, cool shortcut here, because when I drop these, there is a indentation did not work. It worked for the first row, but didn't work for this. So to graph everything at once, you have to, on a Mac, you press down the Option and Command key, and then use the down arrow to select all the lines that you would like to push or to align. Now, what I will do is just press the space key twice, and everything has been aligned properly. Python is sensitive to indentation, so you would get an error if you don't. Now just press the escape key, and that's done. So we are telling this here, we can put these outside because it's important when you may change your mind, how you may change your mind, how you are going to categorize those. So you can put them outside here. And again, this is not indenting right. So you can put them outside, and then, so we want data frame, we'll be giving it data. Or let me say, let's say path, and then maybe columns, maybe H. Maybe, let's see. Yeah, we need also the renaming of the columns. So I'll cut that. maybe this one we will set it equal. Let's say this is path. No, actually, let's say, I don't know if this is gonna work, but let's say, and let's read for CSV and in the path. I will try with these few changes that I have made to make sure that it's working before I can proceed. So let's make sure that whatever we are providing there, okay, we need, why is it showing that? Why is it showing this? Okay. Do we have path? We have all this. So let's run this and see what will happen. Okay. So when well, so let me do, and then now let's test this function to see if it's working. So tweak. So path. We will go and get the path that we got when we imported the data. So this is what we want. So path, what other one? So path calls. So call, I'll just say calls equal calls. H underscore maps equal H underscore maps. Second line. And then calls underscore maps. Okay. So what I want to do, we can leave that like that, and then we will say here return census. Then run this one. Let's come and try if this is going to work. We're getting an error, and it is saying an Archibald dictionary type. Okay. Another error. Population. Okay, so I'm getting an error. Okay. Okay, so this here, I will leave this part, converting key, this to a function. I'll leave it to be the part of next, or let me go back. Let me go back and remove a few of, oh, maybe I'm the one who is making a mistake here. Okay. So let me do this. Let me remove this. Let me remove this. No, not all of those. I can map the column. I can map age categories. Actually, I don't have to feed them in. So I can remove all those. And then maybe I need to take my columns and then I'll bring it here. Now let's try running this. So only thing we are feeding in there is the path. Everything else we are not feeding in. And then let's see. So we are still getting an error. This is about population. Okay, so let's just say we want that to be data frame. And then take this out, put in the data frame. The data frame is equal PD read CSV. Okay. I'm still getting an error. Oh, yeah, that should be there. Okay. Now we fix it. I will try what I was trying to do next time, but I don't know why it didn't work. But this is good enough for this tutorial. So what I have done is here, I took out these and then fit in the data frame, include my columns of interest, and then did it like that, and then it's now working. So what I will do, I'll copy this. I'll copy this here, and I will ask ChatGPT to improve it for me if it's gonna improve it. And mostly what I wanted to do is to add the dark string. So let me come here, chat for, then I'll say please, or I can say you are an experienced data scientist with extensive knowledge and practical use of Python. Improve the following. Could add the okay. I think this is why it was probably giving me an error. I like the dark string. Okay, so this is what it has done, and I love what it has done. So it took the mapping. I didn't do the mapping like this. So let me go back. I think where I was getting the error is I was doing the mapping here. No. Okay, I had the mapping here. Oh, I had column is equal this and this. So this is one reason. This is the main reason why it didn't work. Okay, but I like what it has done here by just doing the mapping. I wouldn't have used the capitalization like all capitals, and then mapping here as well, and then pre-process census data, and then pre-process a data frame containing census data. And then the column cleanup. I like this here, so I will copy this. Just copy this, and go back to my Jupyter notebook, and I will do this one. I will do shift returned. I will paste this here, and then I will run this here, and I will come and try this here. I'll try this new function. I'll test it here. So let me do this. Yeah, let's test this. Put in the data frame, and then call it AA, and then run that. And now let's look at it. Yep, that's it. What about tail? Okay. So yeah, ChatGPT has improved my function. And this is one way that you can use ChatGPT, provided that you know what you are doing. ChatGPT can come to your rescue when you run into difficulties. But yeah, I love especially the dark string because this can be really confusing to structure it well like the way it has done here. So yeah, bravo. Basically, this is what I wanted to share with you all today. Now I think you should be able to use Google Colab for your data analysis, and that will help you save time. Instead of having to download Python on your computer and use up a lot of space on your computer, you can save space and time by using Google Colab. So thank you all as usual. We'll add this the code to Python tutorial uh, repo on GitHub, and then I will update that. I will add the link to the code source, the source code to link to YouTube, and then I'll see you next time. I think my next video is not going to be live, but I will redo because there was a request last year for me to show how to download YouTube videos. I'd written a code for downloading only one video, but I was asked to write a code for downloading like a series. So next I will do that video and then I'll share it on YouTube. Please make sure to subscribe to our channel, share our videos, and let us know if there are topics that you are interested in. We specialize both in R, or we are friends. We are friends in both R and Python, and we can help you with anything you want in this space or in that space. Thank you. See you next time. Bye.